What up, folks? I promise, I'm not a disembodied head. It's just camo, it's fine. How's my lighting look, by the way? I'm on my girlfriend's makeup desk. I feel fancy. It's dark in here, so I decided to try and work with this. Anyway, today I have a book review for y'all for The Lies of Loche Lamora by Scott Lynch. I'll tell you what, I've had this book for a long time, like quite a while, but I haven't listened to it. Why is that? Because boy, is this book a snooze fest when it opens up. The book is a slow start, guys. Slow start. It's a relatively slow book up until about the halfway point. A little further on than that, actually. But the start is particularly slow. And it just took me forever to get through. I'd listen to it, I wouldn't get super interested, I'd put it down, go on to something else, I'd listen to it again. I listen to this book on Audible, as I do many books. You know, just a cycle of starting it, dropping it, starting it, dropping it. I finally made it through. I'll tell you what, it was worth reading. The premise of this book is we follow Locke Lamora and a little band of thieves known as the Gentlemen Bastards, and we just follow them on their exploits as being a thief when a man known as the Grey King shows up and starts causing problems in their life. They get in way over the heads, way deeper into anything than they ever intended to, and their life kind of comes crashing down around them, right? Something that is often praised about this book is the friendship work in this book. And it is for sure really good. The friendships in this book I actually really enjoyed, and as the book progressed, naturally, I liked them more. We have Locke and Jean, who are best friends. We have the Sansa brothers, who are twins. And then you have Bug, who's like the young kid of the group. And Bug's fantastic. I like Bug. But they all have a really good dynamic. And you can really tell that there's chemistry written into these characters, which is something I think characters often lack. You know, whenever characters are friends, a lot of the time you just wonder why. What made them friends? Why are they friends now? I'm watching a TV series right now, and you know, I find myself wondering a lot, why are you still friends with this person? They suck, y'all don't get along, you're always fighting, why are you friends? And that's very common in stories. But in this book, it's very clear why they're friends. It's clear that they all care for each other, and they have a lot of fun, witty banter between themselves. I don't think the character discovery goes super in-depth in this book, and you do mostly learn about them through their interactions with each other and through their friendships. You slowly grow to learn more and more about these characters as the story goes on, just through the way that the story is told, and I think it is told quite interestingly. We're essentially following two timelines, and often this is extremely irritating because it's hard to follow and confusing. But here, in this book, I think Scott Lynch does a really good job of following both of these two timelines and then both making clear sense. For one, it is very clear that they are two different timelines, something that is not always made clear. We deal with a young Locke and then an older Locke. For two, the story is divided up in between parts and interludes. And the interludes are kind of the flashback scenes, and then the parts are the present day. It makes the structure of the story very clear, which, as I said repeatedly, timeline stories can be touch and go with at best. And he does a really good job keeping this coherent. Something that's really cool about the way the book is structured is how Scott Lynch uses that to tell us about the current day. So not only do we grow and understand our characters through these flashbacks, but it also sets up the future. It foreshadows and sets in place pieces that will be brought up in the present day timeline. And even in some cases, I was thinking, well, I saw this coming, this is predictable. I knew this was going to happen or this thing was going to happen because it's a parallel to the other timeline, to the flashback timeline. Not that was necessarily a bad thing. I just, the connections were really easy to make, right? And then he kind of flipped it around on us. He subverted our expectations, and then I thought, okay, this is actually really cool. He set you up to think this, then flipped it around, and it was still really satisfying. And really enjoyable to read. I love foreshadowing. If you don't know, I really enjoy foreshadowing in my stories. It's something I really enjoy about the way Brandon Sanderson writes, right? Sanderson, I can spot his foreshadowing, but it's not all entirely obvious. Scott Lynch does something very similar here, where there's foreshadowing here, and you can see it leading up to being a piece of the story that's coming, but sometimes it's not what you expect, and sometimes it is, and I think that adds a cool dimension to it. Also, the overall plot is, if you like mystery type plots, I think you'll enjoy this. This is a group of thieves, and it's almost like they're pulling off a heist in a way. Only there's a lot of things that they don't know and that we don't know, and coming to understand them, I think, is the biggest driver of the plot. It gives you a lot of opportunity to be curious and to be invested and to want to know what's coming, what's going to happen. Something that surprised me about this book too is there's a real gut punch. You can get hit pretty hard emotionally in this story. For me, I was more shocked rather than emotional at first because the story took such a crazy turn, and I just didn't see it coming. I didn't see the escalation of events coming like it did, but there's a lot of room for emotion in this book, especially because all of your characters you really enjoy, right? You enjoy seeing them together, and you enjoy seeing their friendships, and you even enjoy seeing them interact with people outside the friend group just because they're so much fun to follow. So props to Scott Lynch for having such a layered book. I think the biggest knock on this book, I've got to say, is the pacing. I often enjoy books a little more fast-paced, which is strange coming from someone who reads a lot of slow-paced books. I don't think The Lord of the Rings or The Wheel of Time or a lot of stories like that I really enjoy, and I've read through all of them, are fast-paced. But I still enjoy them, and it's the same with this book. I still enjoy this book, but the pacing was a bit slow, especially... The pacing was a bit slow in this book, especially at the beginning. When we hit an escalation of events, the pacing really picks up, and it really moves forward a lot quicker, and things get a lot more dynamic. But like I told you all, there was a reason it took me 4, 5, 6 tries to even get invested into the book enough to listen through, and that is the pacing. So that's a drawback right there. If you don't have the patience for a slow start, and this book is a slow start, then this might not be the book for you. If you're someone who doesn't mind the slower start, so long as the payoff is really good, definitely check this book out. I think I give the Lies of Loche Lamora an 8 out of 10. Those 2 points being knocked off because of the pacing, and a little knock on it because the plot was strange. Like I said, the plot pulled me in. I was curious what was going on, what was going to happen next. I never felt sucked into the book, you know. There are some stories, some plots, where you just really, really want to know what's going to happen. This book didn't do that to me, but I enjoyed the entire way through, and I really, really enjoyed the friendship dynamic in the book and the interaction between all the characters. And I just enjoyed the way the book and the story was structured. So knocking off those couple points for the poor pacing, or the slower pacing I should say, not necessarily poor, I think an 8 out of 10 is a good rating for this book. It's a very, very good book. I 100% recommend that you check it out. And thank you all for watching. If you haven't already, like the video. If you made it this far, maybe consider subscribing. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Peace out, y'all. Fuck snow. It needs to quit snowing.